much for coming. When they first told me that I was going to do the offering story, I was a little nervous, and then they all were just like, you spoke in front of 3,000 people, how are you going to be nervous right now? And I still get nervous coming up and talking in front of people, but I was thinking over what I wanted to share today, because I was thinking, man, God has done so many good things in my life. I just need to figure out one thing that I could talk about.
Yes.
And obviously the first thing that came to mind is I went through a double lung transplant back in May. And that's always the first thing that comes to my mind. But I'm thinking, wow, I've told that story a lot. But then I thought, I was like, no, because there's no limit on how many times I can tell people how good God has been in my life. And if you didn't know, I was in a very, very deep depression when I was going through the recovery of my transplant. I was so depressed, but more than anything, I was angry and I was frustrated that my recovery process was not as fast as other people that I saw on social media. And I saw them get the transplant, go through the hospital, everything within a time of 2 weeks. And my recovery process was, I was just in the ICU alone for 4 weeks, and then on the hospital floor another 2 weeks, and rehab for another 2 weeks. So that was completely different from anything that I've seen. And I was angry. I was so angry. I was just asking God, why are you not allowing me to heal as quickly as non-believers? I spent my whole life coming up and showing people and telling them how good you have been to me and how grateful that I am to have you in my life and how much mercy that you have on everybody else. But I am not feeling any of that right now. And I turned away from God. I didn't want people coming in my room praying for me. When I left the hospital, I didn't want to come to church. I was so angry that I wanted nothing to do with God. And I remember whenever I would be by myself, my grandma would always come to the hospital and she would be there. And whenever I had really bad anxiety, so whenever I was having anxiety attacks, she would hold my hand so tight and she would just tell me, Miha, you need to remember who's in charge. Mm-hmm. But then I was thinking to myself, I know who's in charge, but I just can't wrap my mind around why he's doing this to me, why he would allow his daughter to feel so much pain right now. And she just kept doing that over and over and over, telling me, remember who's in charge. And my dad would do the same thing. He would look me in the eye and try to calm me down, like, Miha, you gotta remember who's in charge. And in my mind, I always knew who was in charge. I always knew that the Lord was gonna get me through this at some point, but I just didn't know how long I was gonna be in this state of mind. And I think when I was at the rehab center, it was about maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was staying awake because I wasn't allowed my pain medicine within 6 hours. So I was waiting for that time to come so I could call the nurse and get more pain medicine. And while I was just laying there, my mom was asleep. I had the TV on, and I just turned the TV off, and I broke down. I was saying, Lord, I am so tired of being angry at you. I am so tired of trying to fight the plan that you have for me right now. I am so tired that I can't do this on my own anymore. And I think he gave me enough space to where I was reminded of how much I needed him, that he was like, you know what, you want your space, I'll give it to you, but you're gonna remember how much you need to depend on me and how much you need to lean on me. And when I was just laying there just breaking down, I was just praying for the first time in over a month that I didn't pray, I didn't do anything. And I was praying and I was asking for forgiveness for the first time in a long time. And I was just saying, God, I am so sorry that the thought of you ever, that I thought that you would ever leave me came into my mind. Because I know that these thoughts were not from you. Did not come from you. Because that was just the devil trying to get into my mind and make me think that you left me, when I know you've been by my side this whole time.
Yeah.
because I definitely would not have gotten through that ICU stay if it wasn't for all the prayers and all of the thoughts and the love that I got from my family. And I know that you blessed me with such a God-loving family that would come anytime they had the time. They would come, they would pray with me, they would sing songs with me. And at the time, I didn't want them to, and I wanted them just to get out of my room and leave me alone. They kept coming, and they kept grabbing my hand because they knew that I honestly couldn't do anything about it. And they would pray, and they would like just make jokes and try to get my mind off of all of the pain and all the anger and frustration that I was going through. And I cannot thank my family enough for that, because if it wasn't for my family, I would not have asked for forgiveness. I would have not ever came back to the church. And to see how much God has pulled me through from the very first day of being in the hospital to where I am now is just absolutely crazy, because I can run, and I have never run. My grandma has it on video if you want to see. And I haven't ran in over 5 years, and for that to even be a possibility now is a miracle in itself.
Yes.
And I think I will never get tired of telling people how good He is, because now, like, I feel all of that mercy, I feel that love, I feel all of the things that God has to offer. And I think when you just lay down your life and you give up all control that you think you have, you're gonna feel so much peace and so much love.
Amen.
That it's just indescribable. And once you have that, your life will change, and the people around you will be able to know, hey, something's changed in that person.
Yes.
And I think it's very, very easier said than done to lay down that control, because for a long time I didn't want that control. I wanted that control. I didn't want to give it to God. And I think once we do that, it is so much peace that just overcomes your body. And it's just an indescribable feeling that you feel once you let go of that control.
Yeah,
So I'm going to pass it over to Kira. She'll pray for the offering.